Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are doing absolutely well. So we are on the second chapter of our class 10th chemistry, that is acids, base and salt, and in this category of the type of the salts, we have discussed about the normal salt and the acidic salt. Now we are moving to our third category, that is our basic salt. So before the discussion of the basic salt, I will draw a flow chart of the simple type of the salt that we have discussed. So our topic is types of salt. So in the category of the type of the salt, we have our first category, that is normal salt. Second category was acidic salt. Third category was basic salt. Fourth category was double salt, and the last one was mixed salt. So these are the categories of the certain type of the salts we have discussed. So among these we have gone through the normal salt and the acidic salt. Now in our today's lecture we will discuss about the basic salt, double salt and mixed salts. So our third topic will be the basic salts. So we are moving to our third topic, that is basic salt. So as the name indicates, the salt which have the tendency to replace OH minus ions of a dibasic or the tribasic acid by an acid is known as the basic salt. It means in the basic salt there will be the replacement of the OH minus ion. So what will be its definition? There will be replacement of OH minus ion of dibasic or tribasic acid acid by acid. So there will be the replacement of the hydroxyl ion. So this will be the point to remember here. Now we will take an example and see how basic salts are actually formed. So for this example, we have taken a category. We have taken a lead hydroxide and we will heat it in an insufficient amount of HCl. So we will have taking PbOH2, that is lead hydroxide, and we are reacting it with HCl. So we will get in the product side PbOHCl. So this is our lead hydroxide and this is our hydrochloric acid. But this acid we have taken in the insufficient quantity. This acid have been taken in insufficient quantity. So we can say that if we have taken the acid in the insufficient quantity, we will obtain a basic salt. So this is our basic salt. Now if we want to obtain the normal salt from the basic salt, we will start reacting this basic salt again with HCl. So our next step of the reaction will be PbOHCl, that is our basic salt. We are reacting it with HCl. And what we will get here, we will get PbCl2 with the elimination of water. So this is our basic salt. And after this basic salt, again heating it in the presence of the hydrochloric acid, we are getting our normal salt. So this you can see here, there is a replacement of the OH minus ion in the solution. So we can categorize it in the category of the basic salt. We have many more examples in the category of the basic salt like copper chloride, copper nitrite, lead nitrate. So we have many more examples, and the other examples of this category are our first example is copper chloride. Second example is copper nitrate. So you can see here, this is basic salt due to the presence of OH minus ion group. So this is actually copper chloride, and this will be OH is again present here. So we can say that it is copper nitrate. But these are actually the basic copper chloride and basic copper nitrate because OH is present here. So we can term it as a basic copper chloride and basic copper nitrate. So here are the few examples of basic salts. So you can copy it from here. So we can move to our next category, that are double salt. So you can copy it from here. Now we are going through our next category, that is double salt. Double salts. As the name indicates, these type of salts are formed by the mixture of two different salts. So we can say that the salts which are manufactured by the mixture of two simple salts are known as double salts. Formed by mixture of two different salts. So these compounds are formed by the mixture of two different salts. So we can say that these are categorized in the category of the double salt. So we will take a general example, that is potash alum. Potash alum is basically used to perform the cleansing action of the water in our day-to-day life. So the formula for potash alum is, we have an example of potash alum. This potash alum is actually K2SO4 dot Al2SO4 whole thrice dot 24H2O. So this will be the general formula for the potash alum that we called fitkari in Hindi. So this will be the formula for potash alum. So you can see here, K2SO4 and Al2SO4 are the two type of the different variety of the salt, and after mixing these two type of the salt, we are getting double salt. So we can say that the general equation which will take place, it will be K2SO4 dot Al2SO4, or we can say plus 24H2O. These two salts will get mixed, that is potassium sulfate and aluminium sulfate, and we are getting the product that is equal to K2SO4 dot Al2SO4 whole thrice dot 24H2O, and this will be our potash alum. In this category of the double salt, we have many more examples like more salt, carnallite and dolomite. So these are actually the double salts which are formed by the mixture of two type of the salt. So I hope the double salts has been clear to you. Now we are jumping to our next category, that will be our last category on the basis of the formation of the salt, and the last category is the mixed salt. As the name indicate, mixed salts will be basically formed by having a acidic or the basic radical in a particular type of the salt. So our next topic is mixed salt. So our next category will be, that is our fifth category, and the fifth category is mixed salts. As the name indicate, mixed salts contain acidic and the basic radical in the solution. So what will happen in this case? These salts contain acidic and basic radicals. So we will take an example to understand this type of the salt. If I am talking about the bleaching powder, that is calcium oxychloride, it will contain the two acids in the one salt. So we can categorize it in the category of the mixed salt. So we have an example here. Our first example is calcium oxychloride. Now the formula for the calcium oxychloride will be CaOCl negative. So you can see here there are two acidic ions present. These are two acidic radicals. So we can categorize it in the category of the mixed salt. Now we have our second example in this category. Sodium potassium sulfate. So you can see here the sodium and potassium, again two basic radicals are present. So we can say that this type of the category will be considered in the category of the mixed salt. So this is all about the type of the salt on the basis of the formation. That is our first category. We have discussed about the normal salt, acidic one, basic one, double salt and the mixed salt. Now our second category was what are the type of the salt depending upon their pH value. So we are moving to our next category, that what will be the salt depending upon the pH value. We have types of salt depending on pH value. So on depending upon the pH value, again we have the three categories of the salt, that is the neutral one, acidic one and the basic one. So the three categories are, first is neutral salts, second one is acidic salts, and the third one is basic salts. So now we will discuss about these type of the salts one by one. So our first category of the salt is the neutral salt. So it means neutral salts are basically manufactured or composed of one strong acid and one strong base. So our first category is neutral salts. So what it will consist of, neutral salt will be manufactured by having one strong acid react with strong base. So when the strong acid is going to react with the strong base, we can say that the neutral salts will be formed. What will be the pH value of this salts? The pH value of this salt will be 7. So the pH value is 7. Now, what are the example in the category of the neutral salt? That is, I am taking NaOH plus HCl gives NaCl plus H2O. Now you can see here, this NaOH is a strong base. And HCl is a strong acid. What it is forming? It is forming salt and water. So you can see here, the strong acid and strong base will going to form the solution that will be the neutral in nature. So you can see here, the strong acid and the strong base will going to make the solution neutral, having a pH value of 7. So this is all about the neutral salts. Now we are moving to our next category, that is acidic salt. So the second category is acidic salts. So what will happen in the case of the acidic salt? Strong acid and the weak base will going to form the acidic salt. So what will happen here? Strong acid plus weak base will going to form the acidic salt. Now, depending upon the pH value, the pH value for the acidic salts will always be less than 7. So, its pH value will be less than 7. Now, what will happen? The color changes of the litmus regarding the acidic salt. The acidic salt always changes the blue litmus to the red one. So, what will be the color change? It will change blue litmus to red one. So, this is the all about the characteristic of the acidic salt. Now, we will see with an example that how acidic salt are formed. So, for the manufacturing of the acidic salt, we will take an example here. So, firstly, we have taken a strong acid, that is HCl, and I am reacting it with the weak base, that is ammonium hydroxide. So, I will get NH4Cl plus H2O. So, you can see here that HCl is a strong acid, ammonium hydroxide is a weak base, and after reaction of strong acid and weak base, we are getting acidic salt, that is ammonium chloride. So, this will be the example of the acidic salt in which the active acid is going to react with the weak base. Now, we are with our last category, that what are the basic salts. So, our last category is basic salt. Now, what will happen in the case of the basic salt? In case of the basic salt, a strong base will going to react with a weak acid. So, the general characteristic will be strong base plus weak acid. Now, what will be the characteristic about the pH value of these type of the salt? For the basic salt, the pH value will be always greater than 7. So the pH value will be greater than 7 for the basic salt. Now, what will be about the litmus color change of these type of the solution? This type of the solutions or the salt will always change red litmus to the blue one. So, we can say that color change will be red changes to blue. Now, we will take an example to understand this kind of the reaction. So, example for this kind of the reaction is that strong base is going to react with the weak acid. So, I am taking one strong base and one weak acid. So, we can write example here. Here we are writing the example of basic salt. So, the example of basic salt. So, we have seen that the basic salt is actually formed whenever the strong base and weak acid combine. Strong base and weak acid is going to give you what? Is going to give you the basic salt. For that, you will need a strong base, and the strong bases we have are like NaOH or KOH. These are the strong bases. But if I am talking about the weak acids you have H3PO4, that is hydrogen phosphate. Clear? So this is a weak acid you have. So if you want to form the basic salt, you want a very strong base. If you want to form the acidic salt, you want a very strong acid. But if you want to form the neutral salt, you will need a strong acid plus strong base. So here I am writing the example of the basic salt. So for making the basic salt, what I am taking here? I am taking here NaOH. This is a very strong base and it is reacting with H3PO4. Okay, so what it is going to form? It is going to give you NaPO4 plus H2O will be going to be liberated from the solution. So this sodium phosphate, this is Na2PO4. This is our basic salt. Clear? So the basic salt will be formed only whenever you take a strong base with a weak acid. Okay. So this lecture is all about the type of the salt, and lastly we have discussed the type of the salt based on the pH value, that is the acidic salt, basic salt and the neutral salt. So this lecture is all over here. We will deal with many new terms in our next lecture. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.